The morning sun had barely lifted above the city when Rowan Hale realized his life was again running faster than he could catch up with. As a single father juggling 2 part-time jobs, endless bills, and the quiet ache of responsibilities that never paused, Rowan was used to exhaustion, but that particular day felt heavier. His boss, Mira, CEO of the mid-sized architectural firm where he worked as a project assistant, had called for an emergency meeting the previous evening. She was brilliant, admired, and feared in equal measure, a woman known for her strictness and flawless reputation. Rowan had always kept a polite distance, his world too messy and fragile for a woman like her to notice. But everything began to shift that night, when he found her slumped behind the wheel of her luxury car in the parking lot, clearly intoxicated and moments away from being spotted by patrolling security or recorded by cameras that would report straight to the board. And in that instant, despite everything he was going through, Rowan had acted with the kind of instinct that came from a heart shaped by struggle. Because some people break when life is heavy. Others learn how to lift. And Rowan had always lifted. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and people who do good even when no one is watching, then pause for a moment and like, comment, share, and subscribe to Hope in Action to help stories like these reach more hearts. Rowan didn't think, he simply reacted. He helped Mira out of the car, supporting her carefully, shielding her from any wandering eyes, and guided her across the street to the small cafe where he knew the owner. He asked them to let her rest quietly in the back, promising he would take full responsibility. He bought her water, ordered black coffee, and waited patiently while she drifted in and out of awareness, her normally fierce eyes clouded with confusion and exhaustion. She wasn't loud or messy, just broken in some small hidden way. And Rowan recognized that look. He had worn it for years. When she finally stood with his support around midnight, he called a discreet ride and ensured the driver took her to the private entrance of her luxury apartment complex. She barely remembered how she got into the car, but she did turn once before the door closed, her eyes dazed but soft, as if noticing his kindness in fragments she couldn't yet piece together. The next morning, Rowan tried to slip through the office like a shadow. His shirt wasn't fully ironed because his 7-year-old daughter, Mira, had woken up crying from a nightmare and refused to let him go. He was late, tired, worried his job could be at risk if anyone found out he was involved in anything concerning the boss's condition. The office buzzed with the usual chatter, keyboards clicking, phones ringing, people whispering. Rowan kept his head low, his heart pounding with a mixture of nerves and the hope that Mira wouldn't remember anything from the night before. But life rarely follows the path of least complication. By noon, his name was called through the intercom. Mira wanted to see him. Rowan's stomach twisted painfully. As he walked toward her office, he imagined every worst-case scenario: termination, disciplinary action, or a warning wrapped in professionalism. But the moment he stepped inside, he froze. Mira was standing by the large window, sunlight illuminating her face in a way that made her look both intimidating and incredibly human. She wasn't holding a file or a report. She wasn't seated behind her massive desk. She was simply standing there, arms crossed lightly, as though preparing herself for something that mattered more than any business transaction. She didn't pretend to forget. What unfolded wasn't anger or defensiveness. Mira thanked him, quietly, sincerely, almost vulnerably. She confessed she had been under immense pressure, balancing the weight of a company undergoing restructuring, the constant scrutiny of investors, and the loneliness of having no one she truly trusted. She admitted she had let the stress push her too far the previous night. And she said she remembered the way he shielded her, protected her dignity, and ensured she wasn't seen in a moment of weakness. Rowan wanted to dismiss his actions as simple human decency, but Mira stopped him. She said decency wasn't simple. Not anymore. Not in a world where people watched each other fall and pretended they were too busy to reach out. After that conversation, something shifted between them. Not romantically, not magically, but spiritually, as if two people who had been fighting their battles alone suddenly realized they weren't the only ones carrying invisible wounds. Mira began noticing things she had never taken time to see. She saw the exhaustion in Rowan's eyes, the worn threads on his sleeves, the way he rushed out of work each afternoon with the urgency of a man whose real life waited outside the office walls. She saw the pictures on his desk of Mira, a little girl with bright eyes and a missing front tooth, whose smile carried the same softness Rowan hid behind tired laughter. A week later, Mira called him into her office again, this time with paperwork spread out across the desk. She had reviewed his work history, evaluations, and project contributions. She discovered that Rowan had been doing the workload of nearly 2 employees due to recent layoffs but was still earning the same low wage he had accepted years ago just to stay afloat. She didn't offer him pity. She offered him a promotion. A substantial one. A role that recognized his talent, dedication, and reliability. Rowan was speechless. Mira explained that the company needed people like him, people who acted with integrity even when no one rewarded them for it. The promotion changed everything. Rowan could finally afford better daycare, a slightly larger apartment, and a small birthday celebration for Mela without calculating every cost 3 times. But the real transformation wasn't financial. It was the growing sense that he wasn't trapped at the bottom anymore. He had room to breathe. To hope. To imagine a future where Mela didn't inherit his struggles. And quietly, almost unknowingly, he began to trust Mira too. Their bond deepened in the subtle fabric of daily life. Mira occasionally asked about Mela and listened with genuine interest. Rowan noticed she worked late every night, shoulders stiff, expression tight, like someone who had carried the world for too long. One afternoon, when she looked particularly worn, he brought her a cup of tea. She seemed stunned, not because of the gesture itself, but because she wasn't used to being taken care of, even in the smallest way. She started stepping out of her comfort zone in response to his kindness. She attended a weekend charity event Rowan organized at Mela's school, quietly donating funds to fix the broken playground without telling anyone. Mela liked her instantly, tugging on her sleeve and showing her the swings she wished someone would fix. Mira knelt, smiled, and promised she would help. And she did, but life's storms rarely blow over permanently. One late afternoon, an urgent call came from Mela's school. She had developed a sudden fever, too high for Rowan to ignore. He panicked, apologized to Mira, and rushed out of the office so fast he didn't even wait for the elevator. Mira followed him down the hall, offering her driver, but he refused out of habit, afraid of becoming a burden. Still, she insisted and dropped everything to go with him. At the clinic, while Rowan paced back and forth, Mira sat beside him, quietly holding the weight of the moment without making it heavier. She gently reminded him that he didn't have to fight everything alone. When the doctor emerged with good news that it was just a strong viral infection, Rowan nearly collapsed from relief. Mira stayed until Mela fell asleep, her tiny hand wrapped around her father's fingers. On her way out, Mira whispered that some storms didn't need to be braved alone. Their connection deepened after that day. Not into romance, not into declarations, but into a powerful human truth. Sometimes the people you least expect walk into your life at the exact moment your story needs a turning point. Mira didn't pretend to forget the night he saved her. And Rowan didn't pretend he didn't need saving in his own way. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Hope in Action to support more emotional stories like this. Before the ending, please comment below. Kindness changes lives. In the months that followed, the office culture shifted subtly. People saw Mira with new softness in her eyes and noticed Rowan's posture straightening with newfound confidence. They began working as a team, building trust not from authority but from humanity. And though no romantic confession ever passed between them, their bond became something stronger, a reminder that the world becomes gentler when even one person chooses kindness over convenience. Rowan saves Mira from trouble that night. But Mira saved him from a life of quiet hopelessness. And together, unknowingly, they saved each other.